Now I need to review perhaps the most important tool. You've gotten an A on the safety test, and therefore you are now able to take out your miter box with a back saw. Okay, now Mr. Coop, I got this miter box, but man, I can't even get it off the thing. It's stuck. Yeah, alright, well, it is what it is. That's why you have your handy dandy screwdriver, and you're going to make sure you have the Phillips number 2, which is the bigger one. Okay? And so the first thing that you can do is you can release this saw. Now yours probably has a little label on it as well. Okay? Now, this screw is super important. Do not lose this screw. Okay? And I'm going to teach you how to not lose it. Before you go any further, set it there. You're going to have to set this to your narrow one, your smaller Phillips one. This one that says 11/64, I believe. Let's go with this. 11/64. My bit is in there, my screw is here. I want you, on the corner of your wood piece that I gave you, the big one, I want you to start drilling. Okay? So you may need to get some leverage, and remember, you want to stay as perpendicular as possible to make this work. And you're not going to drill over your kitchen table, right? If you need to, slide it over a corner. But we don't need to drill all the way through on this. But in case you accidentally do, it's good to have something you don't care too much about underneath. Now that we've got that hole, we're going to switch the bit back out. Go back to our Phillips number 2. And we're going to thread this thing into that hole, so we don't lose it. Okay? Once you've drilled that hole once, you don't need to drill it again. Now look, that's not going anywhere. Okay? Now your saw is loose. Make sure you set this on a table flat or on a floor flat. Please don't leave it on the edge of a table like we talked about. Falls over. Okay? What I'm going to do next is take my 4th biggest bit, my 7/64, and we're going to do the same thing we did here into these 2 holes. Why are we doing that, Mr. Coop? Well, because we're going to drive 2 screws that you've been provided with, these 2 gold ones, in here to hold it in place. Now, when you go to drill, pre-drill, I want you to make sure you have this pressed tight, and that this is going straight down into that hole. Okay, and this is going to be the way we utilize this saw. So I've already begun pre-drilling. I'll probably just do a little bit to mark it. And then again on this side, try and get it as centered as possible. So getting this probably about a 1/4 inch deep is going to allow for that screw to start threading itself a lot easier. Okay, if you only do a very small amount, it might help it get going in the right direction, but it's not going to help the threads grab. Now, I'm always replacing my bits. Okay, this is not for the faint of heart. We need to make sure we keep everything together. You can't lose stuff. Okay, now I'm back to the Phillips 2. I get that back over my holes that I've drilled now. Take my Phillips and my gold screw. Now, I'm going to have you do one last step. Okay? And that step is taking this out. Okay? And pre-drilling and putting that screw in to the wood right here. So that when you need to put your saw away, you'll be able to take that screw out and put the saw away. Okay? So this is when you will have a perfect setup. Your saw, your yellow thing is attached, there's no gaps. Your saw will not come out, and it's attached to your board. Why, Mr. Coop, are we attaching this to a board? Ah, good question. Okay, students, for our purposes, let's pretend that this block of wood right here is a wall. And we're going to press our block of wood with the miter box against it so that there's something solid when we go to saw. Because when you're cutting, you're going to be pushing. This is a push saw. The teeth on the blade are going forward, and so you only cut while you're going forward. It will not cut much when you're going backward. It'll just kind of rub it. So the cutting happens on the forward action, so that's good to have a solid wall or something in front of your box.